So, God of War. I specifically remember seeing the commercial for the first God of War game. I was blown away and knew I had to have it. And it did not disappoint. Each one of these games have been a massive spectacle, amazing story, fun gameplay, and just a great soundtrack to each game. Each one of these stories have gone places that the previous ones never even dreamed of. It seems like they constantly kept building on something that I couldn't possibly even fathom. So, when the announcement was made that a new God of War game was coming, I just knew it would be great. Now, I know that as I make this video, the internet is abuzz about God of War Ragnarok, but since I started this channel, I've been going back and looking at things I've always enjoyed, regardless of how old they are. Even though this is only 2 years old, I'll still give a spoiler warning, just in case. This newest chapter of God of War is absolutely incredible. Don't get me wrong, all of them are great. God of War 3, which used to be my favorite, has a killer soundtrack, and the feeling of finally getting Kratos his revenge on the Greek gods was incredible. In each of these previous games, we don't get a lot of character growth for Kratos. There's some, but most of it is in response to what's happening to him. God of War 3 has some at the end. But the biggest change of character for Kratos is in this PS4 game. Everything that happens in between 3 and 4 is already so much character development for him. He's moving from Greece to Midgard. He's settling down with a wife and a son. He's still gruff and full of anger and has plenty of character flaws. But how is he going to grow if there isn't somewhere to go? Throughout the course of the game, we see Kratos grow as a person and as a father. He learns to trust his son and allow him to see past his walls to the shameful past Kratos is hiding. We can see it in the story and dialogue, but I'm going to argue that the soundtrack is also showing character growth. Let's look at how this happens and some other fun details in this score. I had never heard of Bear McCreary before. He has a huge list of media that he's worked on. It's impressive and very expansive. His work on God of War is incredible. I really hope they picked him up for the next installment, but I haven't heard about that yet. He very clearly knows what he's doing. He wrote an article for a PlayStation blog about the themes he wrote, and I just love his descriptions for the themes. I thought we'd go through each of the important themes that I wanted to discuss, talk about his thoughts, and then I would give my own, with some examples. After that, we'll discuss how each theme changes and grows to reflect character arcs and growth. And as a bonus at the end, we'll put on our tinfoil hats and look at how 2 of these themes fit together, whether intentionally or not, to tell a story about 2 characters. First, and arguably most important, the Kratos theme. Here's what Bear McCreary had to say about this one. I composed a new theme for Kratos that would communicate vital and often conflicting character traits, strength and masculinity, wisdom and vulnerability. Bombastic, powerful instrumentation combines with beautiful melodies and harmonies to yield what I hope is a memorable and iconic theme that adapts and evolves to guide the player through Kratos' emotional journey. Kratos' strength and masculinity are musically represented by assertive brass, pounding percussion, and deep male vocals. After all, Kratos is still the same character from the classic games, retaining all that rage and power simmering beneath his aged, stern exterior. In this new iteration, Kratos has matured considerably. He is older, wiser, and vulnerable. To communicate this other side of his character, I included harmonic and melodic components that are beautiful, even soaring. This approach explores the deeper layers to Kratos that the new game present. Kratos' theme is layered, but not complex. In fact, it is arguably at its most effective in the span of only 3 notes. The first 3 notes of the melody, an ascending minor scale, for example C, D, and E flat, play a pivotal role in the score, functioning both as the introduction to the melody and the repeating pattern that motors through the entire game, becoming a foundation of the score. I definitely agree with the 3-note motif thought he had there. All it takes is these 3 notes, especially when it's in those low male voices, but really anywhere, to invoke goosebumps and this raw, almost masculine feeling. I don't even know how to describe it. Here's one of the best examples of how just those 3 notes can convey something so cool. This theme continues to grow and change throughout the course of the game. This iteration in the solo horn seems to represent a softening of Kratos' hard exterior. It is used when he is opening up to Atreus. I also heard at the end when he's trying to get through to Baldur. It is a fundamental change for his entire character, when he makes an active choice to put aside his hard exterior and let someone in. That's not to say he's not still angry and strong, and that fully reflects in other aspects of his theme. It's obviously a very important character growth point for him to allow others to see inside of that hard exterior. And I think that this horn solo variation describes that perfectly. The next theme I'd like to talk about is Faye's theme. It's listed on the soundtrack as Memories of Mother. Here's what Bear McCreary had to say about this one. Whereas previous God of War games opened with action spectacle, the new game opens with an intimate and emotionally charged first hour, where Kratos burns the body of his recently deceased wife and sets out on a journey with his son, to spread her ashes from the highest peak in all the realms, per her dying wish. Though she never appears physically in the story, it was clear her presence would factor into the score. When I began composing her theme, I instinctually returned to my first prototype cues and dug up that abandoned draft of the Kratos theme. Listening again, the melancholy waltz had not lost any impact since I had put it away nearly a year earlier. It felt as bittersweet and tragic as ever. I realized I had already written the Mother theme. When Cory Barlog first told me this epic tale, Memories of Mother was the melody that immediately sprang forth from my imagination. It was in essence my first impression of God of War. Though the tune ended up not being the main theme, it is arguably more important to the story. The influence of Atreus' mother looms large over the relationship between Kratos and Atreus. Giving her a memorable musical theme could theoretically supply her a musical voice to reinforce her narrative influence. Inspired by the notion of giving her a voice, I frequently featured her theme with female choir. The fact that he brings up giving her a musical voice is a very good point. You hear the vocal soloist representing Faye at times, especially when he is lost in the light of Alfheim. But I would say arguably just about any time you hear the vocalist singing, it gives the idea that she is still watching over them. At least to me it does. This is a beautiful theme and insanely important to the story, as Bear McCreary said. I would go so far as to say that this theme is adopted by Atreus. Or at the very least, it is parts of Faye coming through Atreus. He clearly had a strong connection to his mother, and is like her in many ways. They bonded through language and stories of Norse mythology, and it is clear that part of her lives through her son. The next theme I'd like to discuss is the Witch of the Woods theme. This theme belongs to Freya and is played for her in anything magical that happens. Here's what Bear McCreary said about this one. The witch lives deep in the woods, and her visual aesthetic draws from nature. I represented this connection to the forest by framing her melody with colors evoking nature. A pair of Celtic harps merge to form a rapid network of arpeggios, dripping like raindrops down spider silk. This texture is punctured by freely performed log drums, claves, sticks, and other wooden percussion. These sounds rattle gently like chimes in the breeze, connecting them to nature. This theme is mysterious and beautiful, much as Freya is. She's the magic influence that Kratos runs into the most. Her theme seems to represent that sort of mysterious, magical essence that she represents in the story. The final theme I'd like to discuss is the Stranger theme. It's Baldur's main theme. Here's what Bear McCreary said about this one. The Stranger is a threat because he is fast and immune to pain. Inspired by the character's wiry build, I wrote a theme that was nimble, quick, and capable of rapid harmonic and melodic pivots. The harmonic structure jumps between distantly related minor chords, E flat minor, C minor, G minor, and B minor, as a boxer hops back and forth on 2 feet and the melody doubles back on itself, repeating similar figures but tweaking them to sustain tension. He said exactly what I was thinking about the evolution of Baldur's theme here. We learn more and more about who he is and how dangerous he is, as well as learning that he's looking for Atreus and Faye and not Kratos. As he gets more dangerous and we understand more of what he wants, his theme evolves from mysterious to threatening to downright bombastic, if you will, in a way that signifies, yes, this is the main boss, this is what you are fighting against in this game. And now for the bonus round. I couldn't shake the feeling that the Baldur and Freya themes were related. It would make total sense if they were. Honestly, it's probably wishful thinking, because how cool would it be if they were related? Since one of the big reveals is that Baldur is Freya's son. But I actually think they are themes that go together. They work very well together. Almost. There's one spot in particular that it does clash, which I suppose would make sense since there's a discord with Freya and Baldur. This could be used to signify the conflict between the two after she tries to protect him from harm and death. They do end together, which is how the story sees them last. This could be looking too deep into it, but the article that I've been quoting from does not spoil major plot points, so I'm not sure if that's what it really means. I'd like to believe that it is. Isn't it more fun to find your own meaning in music and narrative? If you're looking for specific examples of some of these themes, I highly recommend Ashes and Echoes of the Past from the original soundtrack. Those two tracks also coincide with two of the best scenes in the game. The first is a masterclass in how to develop themes through an emotional scene. And the second is an example of how to use existing material to set a scene. With almost no dialogue, the scene where he returns to retrieve the Blades of Chaos is so good and full of raw emotion. The funeral scene is the same way. The scenes themselves are fantastic, but the music is what gives it the emotional weight that it needs to make it fantastic. I wish I could just put the entirety of both scenes here, but I'd like people to be able to watch this video, so I won't. Go watch them again though, or better yet, play the game. There is a reason that it won Game of the Year and many other awards for sound design and original score. Anyway, if you made it this far into the video, thank you for watching. I'm happy to talk music with anyone, so please leave a comment below or hit me up on Twitter. You can also request video topics you'd like me to talk about. If you enjoyed this video, it would make my day if you were to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.